Every step could be your last. That's what they don't tell you about mine clearing. Every time you put your foot down, every time you probe the dirt with your bayonet, every time you brush away soil to expose what might be underneath, you're gambling. And the house always wins eventually. I cleared mines for 8 months in Italy. Started at Salerno in September 1943, worked my way up the peninsula through the winter. Anzio, Cassino, the Gothic line. I was good at it. Steady hands, good eyes, patient. The kind of temperament that kept you alive when you were kneeling in the dirt with a German S-mine 6 inches from your face, trying to figure out which wire was the trigger. But being good doesn't mean you're safe, just means you last longer. And lasting longer means you see more friends die, more boys who made one mistake, missed one wire, put pressure in the wrong place, more pieces scattered across Italian fields, more screaming, more blood. I'm 78 years old now, and I still can't walk on soft ground without looking down. Still check for tripwires that aren't there. Still wake up sometimes with my heart racing, certain I've stepped on something that's about to detonate. My wife says I pace the house at night, probing the floor with my cane like I'm searching for mines in the carpet. Maybe I am. Maybe some part of me is still in Italy, still on my knees in the mud, still trying to find the explosives before they find me. My name is James Jimmy Kowalski, and I joined the Army Corps of Engineers in 1942 when I was 22. I grew up in Pittsburgh, worked in the steel mills before the war. My father had worked there too, died when I was 17 from lung problems, breathed in too much coal dust and metal smoke. I took his place on the line because that's what you did. Family needed the money. When the draft came, I welcomed it. Sounds crazy now, but the mills were killing me slowly, and I knew it. At least in the Army, I'd get 3 meals and a uniform. At least I'd be doing something that mattered. At least I thought I'd have a chance. They trained us at Fort Belvoir in Virginia. Combat engineering, bridge building, demolitions, mine warfare. I was good with my hands, good at understanding how things worked. The instructor said I had a feel for it, said I could sense when something wasn't right, said that would keep me alive. He was wrong about that last part. It kept me alive, but it didn't keep me safe. Nothing could keep you safe when your job was to find buried explosives with your hands and a bayonet before they killed you. We shipped out in August 1943, landed at Salerno in September as part of the Fifth Army. The Germans were waiting. They'd had time to prepare, and the Germans were good at preparation, especially when it came to mines. Salerno was chaos. The beach landing was rough. German artillery, machine guns, counterattacks. But my job started after we got off the beach, when we had to push inland through the Italian countryside. That's when we discovered what the Germans had left us. Mines, thousands of them. They'd mined every road, every path, every field, every bridge approach. Teller mines that would blow the tracks off a tank. S-mines, bouncing Bettys we called them, that would pop up to waist height before detonating, sending shrapnel in a 360-degree radius. Wooden box mines that metal detectors couldn't find. Booby traps connected to everything. Bodies, doors, furniture, anything you might touch. Our job was to clear paths, find the mines, mark them or disarm them, make safe corridors for the infantry and armor to advance. They gave us metal detectors, bayonets, and wire cutters. Told us to be careful, said to trust our training. Training didn't prepare you for this. My first mine was 2 days after we landed. We were clearing a road near the beachhead. The detector pinged. I marked the spot, started probing. Standard procedure. Stick your bayonet in at a shallow angle. Feel for resistance. If you hit something hard, stop. Brush away the dirt carefully. Identify what you found. I felt it before I saw it. That distinctive resistance that meant metal, meant something man-made buried in Italian soil. I stopped probing. Started brushing dirt away with my fingers. There it was, a Teller mine. German anti-tank mine. Circular, metal packed with 11 pounds of TNT. My hands were shaking. I could feel my pulse in my throat. This thing could blow me in half, could turn me into pink mist. One wrong move, one slip. "You got this, Kowalski?" Sergeant Briggs asked. He was standing 20 feet back. Safe distance, they called it. Like 20 feet would protect you if 11 pounds of TNT detonated. "Yeah, Sarge, I got it. I didn't have it. I was terrified. But you don't admit that. You just do the job." I traced the edges of the mine, found the fuse on top. The Germans used pressure fuses. You had to put over 400 pounds on them to detonate. But they also sometimes put anti-handling devices underneath. Pull the mine up without checking and a secondary fuse would fire. I felt underneath. My fingers were in the dirt, under the mine, searching for wires or a second fuse. Every second felt like an hour. Every touch could be the last thing I ever felt. Nothing. No secondary device, just the mine. I unscrewed the fuse, pulled it out. The mine was inert now. Safe. I stood up, legs shaking, and waved Briggs forward. "Good work," he said. 11 more contacts on this road. Let's keep moving. 11 more. And that was just one road, one day. We lost Peterson on the third day. He was on point using the detector, swept over a spot twice and got no signal. Took a step forward and a wooden box mine detonated under his foot. The Germans had started using wood and glass mines specifically because our metal detectors couldn't find them. You had to probe every inch of ground, mine detector or not. But that was slow, and the commanders wanted us to move fast. Keep the advance going, clear the roads quickly. So Peterson took a step and died. The mine took his leg off at the knee, just gone, shredded. He was screaming, clutching at the stump, blood pouring out. The medics ran up, but there was too much damage, too much blood loss. He died while they were working on him, still screaming, still not understanding what had happened. We buried what was left of him that night. Sergeant Briggs said a few words. We all stood there in the dark, listening to artillery rumble in the distance, knowing any of us could be next. That's when I started having the dreams. Every night I'd dream about stepping on mines, feel my foot press down, feel that moment of resistance, know what was coming. Then I'd wake up right before the explosion, covered in sweat, heart pounding. The dreams never stopped, still have them. 55 years later, and I still dream about Peterson screaming, about his leg gone, about blood in the Italian dirt. We kept clearing, had to. The advance couldn't stop because Peterson died. The war didn't care about dead engineers. It just kept grinding forward, needing paths cleared, mines disarmed, roads made safe. Anzio was worse. The Germans had months to prepare defenses there. They'd mined everything. The entire beachhead was a minefield. You couldn't take 10 steps without tripping a detector. And they'd gotten clever, mixed anti-personnel mines with anti-tank mines, strung them together with tripwires, set up mines to cover other mines so you'd get hit trying to disarm one. I remember kneeling next to an S mine, trying to trace the wires and realizing there were 3 separate trigger mechanisms. One pressure plate, one tripwire running to a second mine 10 feet away, and one pull wire going the other direction. Disarm it wrong and you'd set off a chain reaction. Kill yourself and anyone near you. My hands were shaking so bad I had to stop, had to sit back, breathe, try to calm down. Sergeant Briggs came over. "You okay, Kowalski?" "There's 3 triggers, Sarge. I've never seen that before." "Can you do it?" Could I? I didn't know. But what choice did I have? Someone had to clear it. If not me, then somebody else. And they might not see what I saw, might miss a wire, might die. Yeah, I can do it. It took me 40 minutes to disarm that mine. 40 minutes kneeling in mud, tracing wires, cutting them one at a time, praying I'd identified them all correctly. When I finally pulled the fuse and held it up, my hands were shaking so bad I dropped it. Briggs helped me to my feet. Good work. Damn good work. Good work. Like I'd done something praiseworthy instead of just not dying for 40 minutes. We lost Martinez at Casino. He was clearing mines near a destroyed building when he found a German Regal mine, a long anti-tank mine shaped like a stick. He was disarming it, following procedure, doing everything right. But the Germans had booby-trapped it, connected it to a grenade hidden under the building's rubble. When Martinez moved the mine, the grenade went off. I was 20 yards away, heard the explosion, turned, and saw him lying there. The grenade had caught him in the chest and face. He was still alive, still breathing, but his face was gone. Just red meat and bone. He was trying to talk, trying to say something, but he had no jaw, no mouth, just gurgling sounds. He died like that. Took him 5 minutes. 5 minutes of trying to speak with no face, trying to breathe through destroyed lungs, trying to live when he was already dead. I vomited, couldn't help it. Turned away and threw up everything in my stomach while Martinez made those horrible sounds behind me. Sergeant Briggs put his hand on my shoulder. It's okay. It gets to everyone eventually. But it wasn't okay. None of it was okay. We were crawling through Italian mud, finding explosives that could kill us in a dozen different ways, watching our friends die in pieces, and we just kept going, kept clearing, kept doing the job because someone had to, and we were the ones stupid enough or brave enough or unlucky enough to have gotten picked for it. The worst part was the waiting, not the actual mine clearing. That was terrifying, but at least you were doing something. The waiting was worse. Lying in a foxhole at night, listening to the war around you, knowing tomorrow you'd be back out there, back on your knees, back probing the dirt, back gambling with your life. Some guys cracked, just refused to go out. They'd be court-martialed, sent to prison, but at least they were alive. At least they weren't kneeling next to buried explosives trying to figure out which wire to cut. I thought about it, thought about refusing, about shooting myself in the foot, about any way out that didn't involve disarming one more mine, tracing one more wire, gambling one more time. But I didn't. None of us did. We just kept going, kept clearing, kept dying one by one. By the time we reached the Gothic line in the fall of 1944, our unit had been replaced 3 times. Not rotated out, replaced. Because most of us were dead or too messed up to work anymore. Combat engineers had the highest casualty rate of any engineering unit. Higher than infantry sometimes. Because infantry could take cover, could dig in when the shooting started. We had to stay exposed, had to keep working, had to finish clearing that mine or disarming that booby trap, because if we didn't, someone else would die. My breaking point came in November 1944 near Bologna. We were clearing a farmhouse the Germans had abandoned. Standard procedure, check for booby traps before the infantry moved in. I found them everywhere. The door was rigged. The windows were rigged. They'd booby-trapped the stairs, the furniture, even the dead German soldier lying in the kitchen. Touch any of it wrong, and you'd be dead. I was on the 2nd floor clearing a bedroom when I found one connected to an artillery shell. Big one. 105 millimeters. Enough explosive to bring down the whole building. The Germans had set it under the floorboards and run a wire to the bed. Lie down on the bed, your weight pulls the wire, the shell detonates, kills you and anyone else in the building. I was tracing the wire, trying to find where it connected, when my hand slipped. Just for a second. Just a little. But I felt the wire move. Felt it pull tight. Time stopped. I was certain the shell was going to detonate. Certain I was about to die. I could see it in my mind, the explosion, the building collapsing, my body buried in rubble. Or not buried, just scattered. Pieces. It didn't explode. The wire had some slack. My slip hadn't been enough to trigger it. But I couldn't move. I was frozen, hands still on the wire, unable to let go, unable to continue, unable to do anything except kneel there and shake. Sergeant Briggs found me like that 20 minutes later, still frozen, still holding the wire, still waiting to die. Kowalski? Jimmy? Can you hear me? I could hear him, but I couldn't respond, couldn't move. Something had broken inside me. Some part that had been holding me together through all of it, through Peterson and Martinez and all the others, through all the mines and the fear and the waiting, it just snapped. They pulled me out, sent me to a field hospital. The doctors said it was combat fatigue, shell shock, nervous breakdown, different names for the same thing. I was broken and couldn't do the job anymore. I felt like a coward, like I'd let everyone down. But mostly I felt relief that I wouldn't have to go back out there, wouldn't have to kneel next to another mine, wouldn't have to gamble again. They sent me to a hospital in Naples, kept me there for a month. Other engineers were there too, guys who'd cracked, who couldn't do it anymore. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? We'd all seen the same things, all lost the same friends, all reached the point where we couldn't make our hands stop shaking long enough to cut a wire. They sent me home in December 1944. Medical discharge, combat fatigue, unfit for further service. I should have been relieved. I was alive. I'd survived. Most of my unit hadn't, but I didn't feel like a survivor. I felt like a failure, like I'd abandoned my buddies, like I'd quit when they needed me. The ship back to America took 3 weeks. I spent most of it staring at the ocean, trying not to think about mines, trying not to see Peterson's leg or Martinez's face, trying not to feel that wire pulling tight under my fingers. I got home to Pittsburgh in January 1945. My mother cried when she saw me, said I was too thin, too pale, said the war had aged me. I was 24 years old and looked 40. I tried to go back to the steel mills, lasted 2 days. The noise, the banging and clanging sounded too much like explosions. I'd flinch at every loud sound, drop to the ground, cover my head. The other workers thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. I couldn't hold a job, couldn't concentrate, couldn't stop seeing mines everywhere. I'd be walking down the street and I'd see a patch of dirt that looked disturbed and I'd have to check it. Had to probe it with a stick to make sure there was no mine underneath. People stared, called me crazy. Maybe they were right. The nightmares got worse. Every night I'd dream about kneeling next to mines. Sometimes I'd be trying to disarm them. Sometimes I'd step on them. Sometimes I'd watch my friends die again. I'd wake up screaming, covered in sweat, certain I was still in Italy. My mother tried to help, got me to see doctors. They gave me pills, told me to talk about it. But how do you talk about it? How do you explain what it's like to know that every step might kill you, that every breath might be your last, that you watched your friends die in pieces and couldn't do anything about it? I started drinking. Not a lot at first, just enough to dull the memories, enough to sleep without dreaming, but it got worse over the years. Whiskey became the only thing that helped. I never married. How could I? What woman would want a man who can't walk on soft ground without checking for mines? Who wakes up screaming? Who drinks to forget what he can never forget? I'm 78 years old now. The war ended 55 years ago. But I'm still there, still in Italy, still kneeling next to mines, still waiting for the explosion that will finally end it. My hands shake all the time now. Not from fear, from age, but it reminds me of how they shook then. When I was 23 years old, kneeling in Italian mud, trying to disarm a mine with steady hands that wouldn't stop trembling. I never went back to Italy. People ask me sometimes if I want to visit, see the places I served. I tell them no. I've seen enough of Italy. Seen too much. Every field there is a graveyard to me. Every road is marked with the ghosts of boys who stepped wrong or cut the wrong wire or just had bad luck. Peterson Martinez. 11 others from my unit whose names are burned into my memory. 13 men who died doing a job most people never think about. Clearing paths, finding mines, making roads safe for others. They gave me a medal, Bronze Star. Said I'd served with distinction. Said I'd saved lives. Maybe I did, but I couldn't save Peterson, couldn't save Martinez, couldn't save the others. And I couldn't save myself, because the mines didn't have to kill you to destroy you. They just had to make you live with the fear, with the knowledge that you'd gambled and won so many times that eventually you'd have to lose. With the memories of friends who gambled and lost, I still can't walk on soft ground without looking down. Still check for tripwires. Still wake up with my heart racing, certain I've stepped on something that's about to explode. My wife, I lied earlier, I did marry, in 1952, woman named Helen who was patient enough to deal with my demons. She says I pace at night, says I probe the floor with my cane, says I'm searching for something. She's right. I'm searching for minds that aren't there, for dangers that don't exist, for threats that ended 55 years ago but still feel present, still feel real, still feel like they're right underneath my feet waiting to explode. That's what mine clearing does to you. It doesn't just risk your life in the moment. It takes your whole future, makes you live the rest of your days waiting for the explosion, checking the ground, searching for wires. They needed paths cleared, needed mines disarmed, needed roads made safe, and we did it. We crawled through Italian fields on our knees, gambling with our lives, dying one by one so others could advance. But we never advanced. Not really. We're still there, still kneeling in the mud, still probing the dirt, still waiting. Every step could be your last. That's what they don't tell you. And even when you stop stepping, even when you make it home, even when the war ends and the mines are gone, you're still taking those steps, still gambling, still waiting for the explosion that you know eventually has to come. I cleared mines for 8 months in Italy, but I've been clearing them in my head for 55 years, and I'll be clearing them until the day I die.